let's say they are using Torrance County property, is it required that we also pay the $100 per hour for ambulance and the $30 per deputy in addition to that insurance? Would that be,
For the SCA?
well, okay, in that
Well,
instance, yes.
they have a special agreement where, they have their own emergency services. All we're asking is for copies of their EMT certificates in their package, so that that's on file, at the dispatch center.
So all other events would require that they pay these amounts? I'm sorry.
Well, this is why there's the two options there, if it's a circus or something like that, where it's, a retail type deal, I think you would want to go with those fees to provide them security and what have you, or raise. If there again, if it's, some minor group and they're taking care of their own medical needs and they don't need an ambulance standing by or a sheriff's deputy standing by to provide them security, then you've got that second option to get that. And then, of course, down at the bottom, you still have that caveat that the Torrance County reserves the right to bill the applicant or property owner for any hours in excess of the hours stated in the initial disclosure statement, which could, for an example, let's say that somebody didn't really believe that they needed security or an ambulance standing by, the circumstances changed to where, the emergency medical was going up there on and off, geriatric lawn bowling, tripping over the balls or whatever, and they needed somebody to, it was decided, well, we got so many calls up here, we better put a crew on standby just for that. Then the county would have the option to charge for that.
But the business also has the option to come to us and say, this is the security I'm going to provide. This is the emergency services I'm going to provide, and I do not need the Torrance County services. I have my own set. For example, if SCA came to us and said, gave you the certifications that you need to show that they will provide everything, the insurance policies and everything.
Yeah, but ultimately, it's
But if that changes during the course of it, we have the right to charge them.
correct.
Okay.
And by submitting this in paper, we have something on file. Because I know from past experience, we always had to give copies of these whenever we did events at the park. But as you're well aware, when I went into my office there, finding a lot of files is impossible. There weren't any files existing when we finally got them sorted through, where we have no background on this, and it's just been handled by word of mouth, well, go down and talk to the sheriffs and notify them, go over to the fire department, notify them, and then we follow up to make sure that they did. But, we should have a document. That's the purpose of this application.
I think this is a good thought, but I think there needs to be a lot more thought put into this. I think we need to have some definitions. We need to decide what is a special event, what type of events qualify for it. I also think that we ought to turn to the professionals, the sheriff's department, the fire department, and make sure that they are comfortable with, okay, what type of event is this? Are they going to sign off on it? I could certainly see the sheriff having an issue with a raid, for example, being held in Torrance County.
We did like that
him to
because-
have everybody out that particular.
We did like that because they invited us to
Yeah.
their illegal party.
But we certainly want the professionals to sign off on all of this ahead of time and determine whether or not we set the rate. So I think this is a good start, but I really think that we need to probably, my office and Steve work together and develop a policy and some definitions. So, I mean, it's nice to talk about, but who's going to make the determination, as Commissioner Chavez Gutierrez pointed out, if we want to have a family gathering at the Tahiti Community Center, when does it qualify as a special event? Let's get it honed in a little bit better, instead of leaving it as vague as it is. I'm also really concerned about things like indemnification agreements. They don't mean anything. Tort waivers don't really mean anything. And we need some real hard definition. We need insurance policies. And we need some real disclaimers. I mean, those are nice terms that are floated around out there, but a tort waiver, for example, has very, very limited use or applicability in New Mexico. So we just need to think about this a little bit more. Or an acknowledgement that we're going to build it. Well, I disagree with that. If they pay us for 4 hours of sheriff department personnel, then they shut down in 4 hours. We're not going to build them later, because a lot of these entities are just entities for one particular event. And they're gone.
I think it was a good, it was a good effort in putting it together. So I think we're off to a good start, and we can continue to work on it. Johnny had something. If you could come up to the podium, Johnny, because she needs to be able to record, and then Annette, please.
Commissioners, the reason that when you brought up that deal about a rave and you're talking about liabilities, and I guess that's what I would have wanted to ask the attorney, but she was just addressing is, I was in that, we're coming home from Albuquerque when that rave was going on out there, and my understanding is when they came for the permit, they said they were going to have some kind of a religious gathering or whatever. I don't know if it was or not, but the thing about it is that I don't know what the liability for the county is to go give permits like that and not have these people. I think it's a very good idea that you make them liable for it, because I don't know if the liability will fall on the county, but I know I was in it, and there had to have been at least 150 to 200 cars. They were along the highways. They blocked us off. There was 4 of us cars coming from Albuquerque, and they wouldn't let us get through. And these were a bunch of young kids. And I didn't know what was going on at first. I thought it was a bad accident or whatever. And I come to find out afterwards that it was a rave that they had come to the county to get a permit, and I'm not sure if they did get a permit or not.
I'm not sure.
Well, is that what they said it was? But anyway, we found out afterwards, because there's some neighbors that live in there, and they were terrified, because they said to see that many people basically partying is what they were doing. Out in the field out there, and these people were quarter of a mile, half a mile away. And, if a fight had broke out, I don't think we'd have enough police in Torrance County to stop that kind of a gathering. It was tremendous. So all I'm saying, I agree with you. I think you guys really need to look at that really strong, because I've heard those things go on everywhere. And, they're never what they say they're going to be. So for the county's sake, I think that you really need to, when he goes through the permit process, make sure that the liability doesn't fall on you guys. And that's all. I just wanted to let you know that I was stuck in that, and believe me, it scared us, because, I didn't know we were going to end up having a fight to get out of there and stuff, because they blocked us in. I mean, we're literally blocked on the highway. They would not let us go. And finally, the kids dispersed and everything, but they had cars everywhere. And I said, if this had turned into a riot or kids drinking or whatever they were doing, it would have been a big mess for a lot of people. And so I just kind of want to let you know, because we experienced it. We were in that when that happened.
Thank you, Johnny. We appreciate your comments. With that, so now we will.
Annette has
Oh, I'm sorry, no.
I was just wondering.
I was trying to let you talk earlier, but you didn't go to the podium.
Right. The funding that comes in, if it's $100 per hour, whatever it is, where would that money go?
It hasn't been set up yet because there's not an avenue in place to set that up, but
But I'm just wondering if
it would
go
need to go back
to
to that department to cover the costs. Obviously, that's why you're charging.
Okay, so any other questions or comments? So we'll work with Heath. I mean, we certainly would need your
I would
expertise.
agree that it may be tweaked. I was sitting here thinking about that the organizers of Woodstock did get a permit. And you remember how that turned out. So, no, and I'm
I
just
don't
using.
remember seeing that, it's fun.
Yeah.
Well, if you remember it, you weren't there.
And now we can really tell that we need to wrap this up because Lonnie's getting hungry. We're getting delirious. It's funny. Okay, well good. We're off to a good start, so everyone will work collectively to make that permit get to where it needs to be. We'll now go to item number 12, the CDBG grant agreement approval.
Madam Chair, this is the grant agreement we received from DFA for the 2011 CDBG project. It is in the amount of $375,000 and it is for an addition to the Mountaineer Health Clinic. There is a match of $18,750, which has been set aside from the infrastructure tax, and that is a cash match requirement. The grant committee also exchanged emails about this grant, and they determined that it wasn't necessary because we have had CDBG in the past, and
It's been administered well.
Pretty good at administering the system. So I would just ask for your approval of the grant agreement.
Good, did you put this together?
Yes.
No, the grant agreements come from DFA, their legal department, right?
That you facilitated it?
Yes.
She wrote the grant.
I just want to publicly comment that I think it was an outstanding job, and thank you very much.
I agree.
You don't have to give me too much credit because that's what I did before I came here, so.
Okay, then I take it all back.
Okay then. Is there a motion for approval?
I make the motion that we approve the CDBG grant approval.
Thank you. There's a motion on the table, and I'll second that. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. We now go to RFP for the Mountain Air expansion approval.
Well, Madam Chair, since you approved the grant agreement, we can now go ahead and get started with the project. We have published the environmental requirements as required by HUD. And now we have to go out for proposals for architectural services to design the addition before it go to construction. So this is a basic RFP that Construction Programs Bureau developed for the community's use of the CDBG funding. And we basically take it and plug in our parts that apply to us, and we advertise this in the paper. And then when the proposals come in from different architects, we evaluate them, rank them, and then the commission decides to award a contract to one of them. So I need you guys to approve the RFP also, so it can be advertised as soon as the grant agreement is approved.
Thank you. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. We now go to item number 14, extension of resolution 2011-16, burn and fireworks ban.
Madam Chair, this is a request that originally came from the fire marshal, recognizing that on the 25th of May, this burn ban and fireworks ban was put into effect, and it was for 30 days. So the commission on at the second June meeting, did vote to extend it for another 30 days, which is quick approaching now. We have started getting some rain, but the fire marshal would like to see this ban continue for at least 2 weeks. And when I got the commission's opinion on this, I believe Lonnie said he would like to see it for another 30 days.
I'm not opposed to that. Leanne? I'll make a motion to extend the resolution for an additional 30 days. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We're now at the end of the agenda for this evening. Is there a need for executive session?
We may want to discuss one matter in executive session just briefly.
Okay, so I will call for a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Is there a second? Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
This does require a roll call vote. District 1,
Yes.
District 2, District 3. Yes, we're now in executive session. Thank you everyone for attending.